from Paul. Slingerlands, New York. Slingerlands, New York. Never heard of it. Huh. All right, let's get some lights on. Oh, this was packed or shipped via USPS. Okay. Yeah, I've never heard of Slingerlands, New York before. Well, we'll see. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Official packing material of the United States Post Office. Huh. Well, you can kind of see down into the box. What are you thinking it is? And then I'll tell you the story a little bit behind how this machine is coming to the workshop, why it's coming to the workshop. Boy, that last song ended too quick. The first one you heard at the open of this was Jesse's Carnival Waltz. And the second one was obviously Ode to Joy. And let's see, what else do we have? Let's do Midday Dance. Here we go. Where to invest for some retail therapy. You can still pick a winner despite gloom on the high street investment market. It's got to be a New York newspaper. Business editor. Yes, they read newspapers out in New York, you sillies. Or at least they pack with them. Well, that one ended too quick. That was a nice one, wasn't it? Midday Dance. All right, let's spice it up a little bit. How about Cha-Cha-Cha Fontanes? Fontanes. Here we go. Oh, yeah. All right, I better not overdo it, folks. How can you not do a little dance to music like this? Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? Oh, and here come the trumpets. Yeah. You hit that climax and then boom, you're done. What a bummer. Cha-cha-cha Fontanes. I love it. All right, how about Tango Bango as we get near revealing what this machine is out of New York. And then I'll tell you a little story behind it. It looks like from a drive-thru at McDonald's, doesn't it? I mean, I know it's not. It is making me thirsty, though. All right, sticking up in the box now, you can see it. you should be able to narrow it down. You should be able to narrow it down as to what machine this is out of New York. Can you see it? Boy, the way that it was packed, it just cut right into this stuff with the front of the bobbin winder. All right. Just checking in the bottom of the box here, folks. So as far as padding for the bottom of this machine, not what I would consider a stand-up and cheer job, huh? Just a bunch of little newspapers kind of folded, and that's about it. So it's a nice sturdy box. It looks like it was probably used for fruit or something like that, because it has the cut-in holes on the end so you can lift it up, and then the little ventilation holes on the side. You can kind of see them in the back here, the round ones. I don't know if you can see those or not. So the box style is not bad, but the padding on the bottom, why? A lot of folks miss that. They'll pad the side, they'll pad the top, they do not pad the bottom, which always strikes me as bizarre, because in all likelihood, if a box is being moved around, shuffled from one truck to another, or from a truck to an airplane or whatever, you're going to be picking that thing up and dropping it. So I mean, I immediately look at padding the bottom of machines no matter what. But maybe I'm all alone in the way I think like that, huh? All right, let me throw this box to the side, and then I will set the machine out for you to see in its glory. But before I do that, I'll tell you a little bit about why this machine landed at the workshop. I've had a number of customers reach out. Hold on just a second. Oh, this is intriguing. The next song that I was going to put on is called The Bachelors, and it's played by the United States Marine Corps Band. Huh. Gotta put this one on. I'd say that's the United States Marine Corps Band from long, long, long ago. So what I was beginning to say is I've had a number of customers reaching out about this particular machine, and it's probably been, gosh, a number of months ago that I sold my last one from my personal collection. And so I've been having to go out to my fellow collector friends, Paul is one of them out in New York, and source additional machines of this type for my customers so that I can restore them and then get them heading off, kind of like I just did for Margaret Mayhew with that machine that's heading out to Oklahoma. This is another one. There is a strong interest in this machine. I have no idea why. No idea why at all. Well, maybe a little bit of an idea. Can you see it through the plastic? Sort of. If you haven't typed it in the chat yet, because I'm not looking. This particular machine, whatever it might be, is going to my friend who goes by the screen name of Super B out of Las Vegas. And I sourced this machine specifically for her. Yes, it is the Rolls-Royce of Singer sewing machines, which was coined almost 10 years ago on YouTube by yours truly. Well, and the funny thing is, Super B out of Las Vegas said, I just needed to sew a perfect stitch. I just need to sew a perfect stitch. I don't care really how it looks. Well, when you're working with me as a customer, I hear what you're saying, but I have never had a customer in the decades that I've been doing this that has contacted me after the sale or after the premiere and said, Scott, I'm trying to put my hands on my hips. Scott, don't you remember me saying that it didn't matter what the machine looked like? And then you sent me this pretty machine, this gorgeous machine with like near perfect paint and decals, and what's wrong with you? I've never had that happen. So I figure Super B out of Las Vegas will forgive me for not only getting a machine that I'm going to restore to perfection, but also a machine that aesthetically is a head turner. Already, I haven't even touched it yet. See that? Paul gets it. Paul gets it. You never ship a machine unless that needle is in the lowest position. Exactly what he did. Good job, Paul. I trained you well. Yes, that was the United States Marine Corps Band. It really was. It didn't sound much like them, but that was them. Okay, so, and you're probably saying, let's get closer. Let's get closer to this Singer 201-2 that's going to be heading out to Super B in Las Vegas. All right, we can do that. But first of all, let's get ready for the ball at the castle. See, this is why I deal with collectors. They love their machines just like I do. And they give me a machine that I can do the final touches on for my customer and get it just right. Oh, if you didn't know this came off, it comes off. See, these are crimped so that they're pressed out just enough to create tension in this well to stay on. It looks like we have to get a spool pin for the top of here. Yeah, I have no idea why people are interested in the 201-2. No idea at all. one definitely wound a bobbin with that. That adjustment is way off. It's not even coming close to the balance wheel. It's way off. Paul, how did you wind a bobbin on this? There's no way. All right, if you want to look this up, the serial number on Super Bees 201-2 out of Las Vegas, that's who I'm preparing this machine for, is AG930947. AG930947. If you're the first to post it in the chat, the first one to post it in the chat, the day, the month, switch that, the month, the day, the year, and the size of the production group. Obviously we know the make and model already is a Singer 201-2. Then I will give you a choice of one of these 3 mugs. Either Good Things Come to Those Who Sew, Sewing Addict, or if I'm holding a seam ripper, now is not a good time. You'll have a choice of one of those 3 mugs. You pick. You pick the one you want, and I'll get that sent off to you once you provide an address, obviously. So the serial number again is AG930947. Get it posted first, and you'll have a chance at getting one of those really cool sewing theme mugs that I've just recently introduced. All right, let me come out on this a little bit. Let's take a look at the side of the machine by the balance wheel. I don't think that Paul did any servicing on this recently. Probably did when he added it to his collection. But I'm feeling this is real stiff in here. This should be moving a lot more freely, and it certainly will be before it heads out to Super Bee in Las Vegas. Now this is intriguing. We've got wiring. Oh, I see. This wiring is too long, is what it is. This is all wiring coming off of the motor. It looks like someone may have, I don't think Paul would have done this, but it looks like I'm gonna have to check this wiring out. It also has a zip tie on it as well. But this is coming off of the motor. And that wiring is, it shouldn't be that long. It doesn't have to be. It comes off of the motor, comes into this junction point here. It only has to be about 4 or 5 inches long. It looks like it's almost 10 inches long, so not a big deal. But to me at least, that's distracting. You can't see the contour of the rear of the machine as nicely. It kind of sticks out like an eyesore, don't you think? I just don't like the look of that. So we're going to take care of that. We're going to clean that up. Like I said, Super Bee, I know you said you don't care if the machine looks good, you just want it to sew perfect. Well, I'm going to give you both. Okay? I'm going to give you a machine that sews perfect, but also looks good at the same time. Yeah, Paul is real good about the inside of his machines. I'm still going to go through this. I'm not going to take anything for granted, not even from my collector friends. When I'm preparing something for a customer, I assume everything is wrong with that machine until I've been able to go through and verify it. So, and Paul's not offended by that. He does exactly the same thing if I send machines to him. He already knows how persnickety I am, but he's going to go through them also with a fine-tooth comb, as any good collector should. So if you are a customer out there and you're one of those customers that's always sending an email or a note through Messenger and saying, where do I find the machines you have for sale, Scott? Where is your website? I get that all the time. And Hans and Bill can attest to that because they read the same messages that I do that come in through Messenger. My simple answer is I like to fit a machine to a sewer. And so rather than list a bunch of machines, and with many machine enthusiasts being brand new to vintage, not knowing a thing, not knowing a difference between a Singer 128 and a Singer 201-2. And then all of a sudden they go down and they say, oh, that machine is pretty. Or they see a couple of sew-offs and they go, yeah, that's kind of like what I'm looking for. But then they get the machine into their sewing room. And all of a sudden they start to discover that it's not exactly the right fit for them. That's the problem with just, as I used to do many, many years ago on eBay, I used to post machines for sale. I put a lot of videos with them as well to show what the machines could do. But still, it wasn't that one-on-one with a customer talking to them about their project goals now, their project goals future, and just what they're looking for a machine to be able to do. That is my consultative approach to fitting the right machine with the right sewer. And so that's why the long and short of it is I don't post a long list of machines that I have for sale. I generally wait for someone to reach out. We get into a conversation. We talk about what they're looking to accomplish underneath the needle. And then I make recommendations, not always one machine, sometimes up to 3 to 5 machines. And I'll explain the strengths of each one of those in relation to the sewer's goals. Now you might be saying, aren't you kind of overthinking that? I don't think so. When someone is making an investment of several hundreds of dollars into a sewing machine, and in particular during this pandemic, as many people have lost their jobs and now they're turning to sewing as a way to offset their family income or the lack of, they need a tool that's going to meet their every need, that's going to serve them just as well as that machine can possibly serve them. You're not going to get that from a one-size-fits-all. You've got to dig deeper, and I'm willing to invest that time with a customer. You got to dig deeper so you can figure out what is going to fit that customer like a really, really, really good pair of shoes that you never want to get rid of. Because otherwise, what happens when a lot of these sellers, and I know because I've had conversations with them, what happens with a lot of these sellers is they will end up buying a machine on impulse without any of that dialogue with a potential seller. And after a brief period of time of having that machine, they will all of a sudden fall into a melancholy and become disenchanted with it and turn around and get rid of it. However they can get rid of it. And that's not my goal. When I sell a machine to a customer, I want that machine to be a part of their world for as long as they are sewing. For as long as they're sewing. I want them to be able to sit down to that machine, and every time they sit down, be delighted with what that machine is able to do for them. See what I mean by Paul? Paul is real persnickety, like I am as well, about the innards of the machine. Makes my job a lot easier as far as preparing this machine. I'm still going to go through and verify everything, but it makes my life a lot easier when it comes to buying from a collector friend that I know is not just flipping a machine to make a quick buck, but he or she, because I have collector friends that are ladies and men, he or she is absolutely in love and passionate, like I am, about their machines. I mean, if they're, now I'm joking, of course, but if their house all of a sudden catches fire and there's a nephew in there and there's a 201-2, they're probably going to carry the nephew in one arm and carry the 201-2 in the other. See, you thought I was going to say different. You thought I was going to say leave the nephew behind, get the machine out, and then come back for the nephew. You know, I don't know. Paul might do that. Paul's a New Yorker. I mean, they're tough. Paul might actually do that. So, Paul, overall, I'm very, very pleased with the machine that you helped me source out of your collection for Super Bee out of Las Vegas. I see this being a great project to get this ready for her and to get this machine then heading out to Las Vegas so that she can not only delight in how it sews a perfect stitch, but also delight in it every time she sits down to it, because it's just drop dead gorgeous. Even before I've done anything to it, you know, I'm going to go after some stuff like this. You already know me. I'm going to go after some stuff like this, see if we can get that diminished a little bit. We're probably not going to get rid of it completely because this right here is all the way down to the metal. So I'm going to see if I can buff it and blend it a little bit and just kind of get it tightened up a little bit as far as the appearance. Even though my customer says she doesn't care about the appearance of the machine, I'm still going to go after it, because every machine that leaves this workshop has my name on it. And as people around the world have had the opportunity to see the difference that I bring to vintage when it comes to the preparation and the time that I invest in them for a customer, I'm not cutting any corners. Every machine that leaves this workshop needs to be at its best mechanically, electrically, aesthetically, even if the customer says some of those areas don't matter. So that's what you can expect. That's the difference between just getting a machine from Etsy or Bonanza or eBay or one of the other venues and not knowing anything about the machine, not knowing anything about the way it's been maintained, the provenance or anything like that. Why would you do that? Why would you make that investment blindly, not knowing the history of that machine that you poured hundreds of dollars into? It just doesn't make sense to me. For just a little bit more, you can get a machine from this workshop, as Super Bee has done and as Margaret just did with the 201-2, where I will invest hours working with my potential selling sources, whether it's a collector like Paul out in New York or someone else. I've sourced machines from Canada, from Germany, from Australia for customers as well. You know, when you have someone that's willing to dig that deep for you, why wouldn't you say, yeah, I'll sign up for that. I'll have you do all the work and make sure that you find me the perfect machine that's not only going to sew a perfect stitch, but is going to be one of those head turners as soon as someone walks into my sewing room, or as soon as someone walks into my business, or as soon as I reveal it at a quilting retreat or a sewing expo. I mean, it's a no-brainer. It really is. It's a no-brainer to me that if I'm willing to go that extra yard, or really go that extra mile for a customer and get them a machine like this, that when they get it is not only going to sew perfectly, but they're going to have the peace of mind in knowing that every aspect of that machine, from bobbin to balance wheel, has been scrutinized, inspected, and made right if something needs to be corrected on it, to include this potted motor, which so many people get into serious trouble buying 201-2s blindly because it looks shiny or because whatever the reason is, and then all of a sudden, a short time down the road, they start having problems with this motor smoking, or in some cases, as customers have told me, they actually have issues where when they're sewing and they push on that foot controller and they make contact with that balance wheel, you know, to rotate that needle, they're actually getting shocked off of that machine. And a couple of those machines have made it to this workshop. And I can tell you what I've discovered. Well, I've shown you what I've discovered, where we have bare wires grounding out on the body of the machine, and it's no wonder that that customer is getting shocked. And you know what? After you calculate what that customer paid for that machine through one of those venues, and then you calculate what they have to pay me to address an issue that I would have addressed when I was going through the finalization process for that machine, that I would be preparing for them, blah, they're actually paying more than they would have paid to me directly, to say, as Super B did and as Margaret did and a number of others have done. Scott, I want you to take the lead on this. I know that you know better than I do the questions to ask. I know that you can pick a more perfect machine than I can, and that's okay. And I want you to take the lead on that. When customers are, let me just say it, when customers are wise enough to recognize that they're not equipped to go to one of those venues and pick the right machine, that they can be tricked by a machine that looks like a shiny penny. And then all of a sudden they get it, and problem after problem after problem reveals itself, because guess what? That seller that sold them the machine picked it up somewhere else, didn't do a thing to it other than maybe polishing the paint a little bit, and sold that machine as restored when they wouldn't even know the difference between a bobbin and a balance wheel. They just wouldn't, because it's all about a quick change of money to them. There's a lot of charlatans out there, folks. If you haven't figured that out yet, then you're probably brand new to this channel. You're probably brand new. But folks like Super B and Margaret and others get it. They understand that there are folks out there that are looking to turn a quick buck, and they don't care once that sale is done. They don't care, because all they're looking to do is collect that payday, push that machine out the door, and then once that customer gets it as is, no guarantee, it's now their problem. It's now their problem. When this machine leaves the workshop and heads towards Las Vegas, towards Super B, she's already going to know that that machine is good to go. I didn't even mean to rhyme that. That was kind of cool. She's already going to know that it's good to go. I'll have to use that again. Remind me about that. Remind me about that. So, a lot of you are extremely smart. And you'll step out there in good faith, and you'll take a lot of the things that that individual that's selling the machine, whether it's locally, whether it's through a Craigslist, or any of the other venues that I mentioned, and you as a very smart person will step forward in good faith and say, okay, it sounds like a good machine. But unless you ask the hard questions, again, when I'm dealing with a seller, even one that I've dealt with before, like Paul out of New York or other collectors, they already know the routine. I'm going to hit them with 80 plus questions about the provenance, the maintenance, the origin, the transfers, and other things like that about this machine, so that when I get into my workshop, I know more about that machine than probably all of the sellers combined on eBay that are selling similar products. Because guess what? Not only don't they ask the questions, they don't even know what the questions are, period. So that is where the rubber meets the road, folks. So many of you have made that what I would consider to be a very wise decision in saying, I am not going to roll the dice. I am not going to spend hundreds of dollars and roll the dice in sourcing a machine myself when Scott's willing to do that for me with his decades of experience and his sources of fellow collectors that are as passionate about what we do in the vintage space as Scott is. Well, almost as passionate. I don't think there's anybody as passionate as me. And I have to say that on camera. Otherwise, Dr. Singer, yeah. Dr. Singer will be shaking his finger at me saying, Scott, you are the best. Just admit it. Don't apologize for being the best at what you do. It's a blessing. And I'm very thankful for it. So this 201-2, again, sourced out of New York from a collector friend of mine, is now, well, not now, but very soon, going to begin the finalization pilgrimage that has over 100 steps. Not quite as many steps as the Husqvarna's, but over 100 steps, where I will go through and check and inspect and verify every aspect of this 201-2 before it receives my stamp of approval, before it is verified on a live premiere in front of an audience and shows what it's capable of doing. Not just that you see a picture of a sewing machine with a piece of cloth underneath the presser foot with some stitches on it, and you're wondering, well, I wonder if that machine actually sewed those. I can tell you from personal experience, in many cases, the machines that you will see displayed with stitches underneath that presser foot were not even sewn by that sewing machine. I know this for a fact. So don't make the mistake of jumping out there yourself when you don't have to. Like Super B and Margaret and many, many others, I delight in being able to work hard on behalf of my customer. I delight in being able to source that perfect machine for them. Even if they say they don't care what it looks like, I'm still going to pick the cream of the crop, because ultimately when they get it and they fall in love with it and they use it daily, it's going to be a pleasure to sit down a machine that not only sews a perfect stitch, but also as you look at it, you're in awe of the beauty, the engineering, and the near perfection of a machine that has come from that little workshop in Oconto, Wisconsin. So, God bless, folks. If you've been sitting on the fence and you got that relief check from the government, or you've been saving your pennies and your nickels and your dimes, and you're looking at machines on eBay, or you're looking at machines on Etsy or Bonanza or any of the other venues, and you're kind of sitting on the edge and you're wondering, should I, shouldn't I? Let me encourage you to reach out and to give me the opportunity to show the difference of what you get when you come to this workshop versus stepping out there on your own, keeping your fingers and toes crossed and just hoping for the best, when you can buy with confidence from here, knowing exactly what you're going to get. And not only that, seeing exactly what you're going to get long before it ever lands on your doorstep. That's the whole reason for the premieres, folks. That's the whole reason for the wide breadth of sewing confirmations that I do on each of the machines before they're allowed to leave this workshop. I want you to see with your own eyes, and I want people around the world to see with their own eyes what that machine is capable of doing. There's no wishing, there's no hoping. There's absolute confidence, knowing what you're going to get when you deal with me. Okay? Blah, 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 blah. So Super B, this is the machine that I sourced for you that eventually will make it through my finalization process, will be premiered, and then we'll be heading out to Las Vegas so that you can delight not only in a perfect stitch, but a near perfect machine as well. All right, you folks take care, and remember, you're never old until regrets take the place of your dreams. So grab hold of those dreams, and more importantly, take action on them. If your dream is to own a 201-2 like this, or like the one that you just saw that left the workshop that's heading towards Margaret in Oklahoma. Stop wishing and take action. That's what dreams are all about. We can wish upon a star like they talk about in the Walt Disney films, which all of us love. But if all they do is ever just sit there and wish upon a star for something to happen, and they never take action, guess what? You're never going to have great Walt Disney movies with the villains losing and the heroines winning. It's all about action, folks. All right, well, you take care and keep on watching this channel so you can see other great premieres like this. And really, dreams coming true for someone like Super B out in Las Vegas that for the longest time kind of was wishing upon a star and waiting and waiting and waiting, finally took action. Right in front of you is the evidence of what action can bring. All right? Take care.